Hello, today we're going to start talking about genetic traits. As we do this activity, you're going to need to look at yourself to see if you have these traits. Now you might already know if you have these traits or not, and that's okay. But if you don't, you can either use a mirror or you can use the selfie function on your cell phone to look at yourself. First one, you guys have talked about hitchhiker's thumb in junior high, you know, which way your thumb goes. Widow's peak, can you roll your tongue like this? That's a genetic trait. Okay, that tells you a little bit about my genotype. Do you have detached earlobes or unattached? Another one you might not have heard of, can you do the Vulcan sign? I can't. I want you guys to go ahead and I'm going to have you pause the video. I want you to work with your table partner through that list of traits I gave you and see how many dominant traits you have and then compare your chart with your table partner. So pause. Were you able to easily fill this out? Did each of you have at least one dominant trait? Odds are that you did. Now, let's talk about something that's more rare. And a neighbor, or you might not have it, okay? It's very rare. We're going to talk about color blindness. Okay? According to the National Eye Institute, 8% of men and 0.5% of women with Northern European ancestry have color blindness. How does that work? Shouldn't it be 50-50? Why are men colorblind so much more often than women? It's a genetic trait. It makes no sense. However, I'm going to teach you a little bit about it today. I want you to look at this picture. I want you to try and find the numbers on the left. Can you find all of the numbers? The ones on the right show you what a colorblind person would see. So if you're not colorblind, you should have been able to find all of the numbers. Do you have any friends that are colorblind at school? You probably do. I have usually about one male student a year who's colorblind, but I've yet to have a female tell me that they're colorblind. How does this make sense with what we've learned so far in genetics? We're going to go ahead and investigate this question, okay? Why men are colorblind more often than women. This is called a sex-linked trait because it's tied to the gender. If you look at the picture, you notice that the letters are different from what we typically use. Instead of big A, little a, you see X's and Y's. Now look closer. The males are both XY and the females are XX. That's because those are your sex chromosomes that we learned about in meiosis. If you are a male in my biology class, that means that your mom gave you an X chromosome and your dad gave you a Y. Please remember that you only get one chromosome from each parent. And then I'm sure you've heard about this at some point. You've been watching a movie or you heard an aunt or an uncle say this to their husband, like, "You'd better give me a daughter," or "You'd better give me a son," when the couple is trying to start a family. This is because the male determines the sex of the baby. The female only has X's to give. The father either gives an X to make a daughter or a Y to make a son. Now, below, this is a Punnett square showing the trait for color blindness. Color blindness is carried on the X chromosome. That's why nothing is written on the Y. In fact, in this class, we're really only going to study X-linked traits. So we kind of ignore the Y. We write it so that we know who's male, but we never put any letters on it. Okay? And notice the letters are superscript. That means they go above. This is going to tell us why men are colorblind so much more than females. If you look at that chart, a female has to get 2 copies of the recessive colorblind allele because we have 2 X's. If we get only 1 recessive allele and 1 dominant allele, we're heterozygous. And colorblindness is a recessive trait. Remember, heterozygous is big A, little a? So we could be a carrier, we could have it, or we could not have it. There's 3 options for what a female could be. However, for male, there's only 2 options. They either have it or they don't. If they have it, it's because they have the recessive allele, and they only need 1 copy because they only have 1 X. If they get a dominant allele, that means they're not colorblind. Okay, they can't be a carrier because they don't have 2 X's. They only have 1 letter. Hopefully this has helped you to understand what sex-linked traits are. We're going to go much more in depth. I just wanted to give you a broad overview today. Now, you're a freshman in high school, and this is probably the first time you're learning about this. How would you explain this to a sibling or younger friend who is colorblind, who might be feeling embarrassed for being different? I want you to write one paragraph to that person, or an imaginary friend if you don't know anyone who's colorblind, and try to explain to them what colorblindness is, or how you get colorblindness using your own words. Sometimes just knowing about a topic can make a kid feel empowered and begin to feel okay that they're a little different. Like Luna Lovegood said in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, being different isn't a bad thing. It means you're brave enough to be yourself. Thank you.